yourself, do you have any beliefs currently? Like, is there any, like, do you follow a path of religion, or is it just...
Well, it's kind of odd. I grew up in a Catholic household, although my grandma, because my mum was actually adopted, so it's a long story. But yeah, so I grew up in a Catholic household, so that's, I guess, my beliefs now.
Do you actually believe that, or is it just like you sort of fell into it type thing? Is it like...
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of all I've known.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I take it you believe in a creator, you believe there is a God.
Yeah.
Do you believe there's a purpose to our life of some sort?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And now obviously you know the differences between the Muslims and the Christians, vaguely, or you know where we
get... vaguely.
I mean, the main difference is obviously we follow the prophets. We see Jesus as a prophet, whereas a lot of the Christians will claim him to be a son of God, which we say is not correct from our understanding. So all throughout time, going back to Adam Islam, we've got Adam, all the prophets came. So this is the key difference for us, and even with Jesus, and we say the message of Jesus brought has been corrupted now.
Yeah.
So the Bible that you will see today is not what the message of Jesus is preaching or past.
Yeah.
Further to that, we say after Jesus came the last and final mention, which was Prophet Muhammad, who brought the Quran as the final revelation.
Yeah.
You know, so there's been a line of succession. He came as the final, and this is the one which came as a guidance for all of mankind.
Yeah.
So after Muhammad, he said, today I leave you this. Yeah. And this will be a guidance for all mankind. So going forward, 1400 years now, it's still here for us. You know, so anyone looking for the truth, looking for the path, looking for salvation, looking for, you know, afterlife, what's happened, we believe all your answers are here for you.
Yeah.
You know, because look, we all know this life is very temporary. It's very short. We're here for, 100 years, maybe 20 years. We don't know. One thing we all know: we will die and we will go afterlife.
Yeah.
That's the key. What happens then? You know, so we believe as Muslims, we will come in front of God. We'll be judged for our deeds. We will be judged on how we lived our life, and we pray and hope inshallah we will enter paradise for being a good people and following His commands, which is the key, following His commands. And like anything, there's a manual to life. We believe this is the manual. Like everything has a manual, right? You know, you get your new iPhone, they give you a manual, be it online or whatever, tell you how to operate. We believe the Quran is the manual for how we live our lives.
Yeah.
You know, because if we left it to our own devices, people are crazy. There's all sorts, right? You know, you have everyone with their own different versions. So there has to be one thing for us to follow, which is the guidance for us. You know?
Yeah.
And that's obviously from what you said, your grandma seemed to be following that. And from what you said, she seems to have found a lot of wisdom and wise words came out of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, thank you so much.
Just to add, obviously you listened very attentively to what the brother said there. What's your take on that?
So, for me, for the longest time, that's what I've always... I mean, I have a lot of Muslim friends, that's what they've always told me, so I've kind of always been like, well, okay, that makes sense as well. And because, I don't know, as I've grown up as a Catholic, I've never really questioned it, so whenever there's something else that makes like logical sense, which to me, out of everything that I've heard, Islam made logical sense, I'd just be like, yeah, that makes sense as well. And the whole thing with the Bible and it not really being like our manual, so to speak, again, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, you're right, there are a lot of things in Islam which just inherently make sense. I mean, in the sense that you can understand the wisdoms behind it, versus even the core concept is really the concept of who God is. And that is quite different between Islam and Christianity. The concept of the Trinity, which you may have been taught in the church, etc., versus the oneness in Islam, that God is one in every way, shape and form. He has no children, he doesn't require offspring essentially. Okay, he's free from this need. He's separate from his creation in that sense, but at the same time quite intimate and close with us because he knows our inner thoughts as well. But in terms of who he is, he's completely unique in that sense that there is nothing like him, and there's no partners, no factions to him, versus what you've probably been taught. How did you? Which one settles with you out of the two, really?
I would say the former, where he has no children, because it just...
And even if you open the Quran, I'll show you there's one chapter which is sort of summarizes, because if you can't understand who God is, how can you even begin to worship Him? Yeah. And if you struggle with I can't even understand this concept of how God manifests who He is before you can even call upon Him, because then, there's a confusion of, are you calling upon Jesus? Are you calling upon the Holy Spirit, the Father? And you're always between this sort of paradox of 3 and 1, 1 and 3, and you're separating and you're combining when it's convenient, and that's a lot of confusion. And I kind of feel for a lot of Christians, because they have that sort of confusion, but they almost have to disengage their minds and just accept it, and that's really hard to do. In Islam, you have that clarity that about who God is to start with, obviously. So it's only 4 verses, okay? It's Surah Ikhlas, okay, the 112th chapter of the Quran. It says, "Say He is Allah, who is one," okay? Allah, the eternal refuge. He neither begets nor was He born. He has no offspring, nor was He Himself produced. Nor is there anything to Him in equivalence. There's nothing like Him. He's completely unique. And that is who God is in a nutshell. Does your heart accept that?
I'm kind of speechless because, yes, it all just, I'm speechless because it all just makes sense. It all just fits together. It's as if, I guess with Christianity, it's like having a puzzle where you've always got that piece missing, and you might go back to it later, but you've still got that piece missing. Exactly. Whereas with Islam, it just seems like all the puzzle pieces are there.
Yeah. And this is why it's a book of guidance, because you will find, and a lot of new Muslims, they say, I found answers to the questions I've always had. I've always had these questions and I've never had my answers, or the answers I've been looking for given to me. And when I came into Islam, I found those answers, and it settled in my heart straight away. It didn't require an elaborate explanation or analogies to explain it. It just settled in the heart. And even when it comes to Jesus Christ, like the brother said here, we view Him as a messenger from God, like Abraham and Moses, who came with a message to their people, okay, at their time, for them, okay, to save their own people at that time. He never said, "Worship me." Jesus, peace be upon Him, never called His followers, His disciples, to worship Him. He always said, "I am the way." I am the way to who? To the Father. The Father was always seen as the one true God, and He's even referred to as the one true God in the Bible. Okay, so this concept of the Trinity was later introduced. About 300 years after Jesus Christ ascended, we believe He didn't pass away, that this was introduced into the Nicene Creed, essentially. Okay, the Treaty of Nicaea, or the Council of Nicaea. So this is later introduced. His disciples never viewed Him as God Himself on earth. This was never something which their minds could accept. How can God become limited in such a way that He is a human being who has these human weaknesses? It doesn't make sense. The mind can't accept it. When God is perfect and He's all-knowing, and Jesus didn't know the hour, for example, many things like this that didn't add up. So we view Him as a prophet and messenger, and we accept Jesus Christ. We love Him. You can't be a Muslim without believing in Jesus Christ. It's a pillar of our faith to accept Him as a messenger. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he's the final in that succession from the lineage of Ishmael. You have Isaac and Ishmael, the sons of Abrahamic religions, and he came as that final messenger with a message for the whole of mankind. He didn't come for the Arabs, he didn't come for that particular tribe. The final testament. And the Quran is quite different to the Bible as well. The Bible, there's a longer discussion about it, but have you looked into the Bible and the preservation of the Bible?
Not really, no.
Okay. If you look into that, if you need to look into that, obviously you'll find that. In terms of manuscripts of the New Testament, they're almost 1,000 years after Jesus Christ. So just under 1,000 years after Jesus Christ, that you have the complete manuscript of the New Testament. Prior to that, there is nothing from called the Gospel of Jesus. There's nothing from Jesus Christ, peace be upon Him, direct that's been preserved in that sense. The Quran, in the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad was written down. It was memorized, and still we say, look, millions memorize it. So millions of Muslims around the world have memorized it in its original language, cover to cover. Children have memorized it, so we can reproduce it even if they're all destroyed. So these are some of the miracles of the Quran as well, as versus the Bible. You're nodding your head to a lot of things. To a lot of things I'm saying here.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
When you say it makes sense, is it something which you believe in your heart?
It's quite difficult for me because I'm neurodivergent, so it's quite I can't say yes or no. Like if it makes sense logically, then I guess so. But yeah, I can't really explain it.
I mean, if you say like you believe in the concept or the concept of God in Islam makes sense, okay. If that makes sense, is that something which you can accept into your heart?
Yeah.
And that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, like Abraham and Moses and Jesus, was a messenger from God because he produced this Quran for us. He himself was I mean, do you know much about him?
Really?
Yeah. So he, just in a nutshell, he himself by trade was a shepherd and a tradesman, and he was known as a trustworthy, honest person amongst his people prior to him saying he is a prophet or being given the prophethood. So when he came with this claim that he is a messenger from God, they find it very, very hard to say that he is a liar because they knew him as a trustworthy person prior to this. Okay, they would accept his testimony, they would give their belongings to him to keep safe prior to him claiming that he's a messenger from God. And he brought the message to us, which is the Quran. And the Quran is almost a proof for his claim that he is a messenger from God. And it makes predictions of the future, it's been preserved, and many other things like that. And obviously looking into his life is something which you can do as well. But that, essentially, those two beliefs there, if you actually have those beliefs in your heart, those are the beliefs of a Muslim. Okay? And you say your grandmother was a Muslim. Now, we don't like to rush anyone into becoming Muslim if they are considering that. But at the same time, if they themselves are looking for the opportunity to take that step, neither do we hold them back and say you need to go and do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
If you believe that and you feel that, okay, this is how I want to live my life, I feel contentment, I feel fulfillment in this particular way, then becoming Muslim is a fairly straightforward procedure. You declare what you believe in your heart. There's no one worthy of worship except God. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his final messenger. And every single Muslim, as we believe, will enter into paradise. Okay, and all your previous sins are forgiven once you take that step. Now it's up to you whether you want to take that step, and you can do that here if you like, or you can reflect upon it and come back when you feel you're ready. But at the same time, there's a balance between reflection and procrastination.
Yeah.
You know, if you believe the core fundamentals there, of course you can learn about Islam for the rest of your life. But that initial, we're still learning every day. But that initial step of saying, no, I believe this is the truth, and this is how I want to live my life. Then becoming Muslim is declaring it as a statement in Arabic and in English, and from that point the person's sins are forgiven and they have become a new person essentially. Would you like to?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would like to.
And is there anything which is you feel like influencing your decision, or is it in terms of like, is anyone forcing you to do this?
No, I have thought a lot about it, and I guess speaking with you today has kind of confirmed a lot of things. So yeah.
I mean, we believe that everything happens for a reason and everything is in God's will. So even the fact that you came here today and that you were passing by before us, we believe this is a miracle for itself. You know, that you've been thinking about this thing, like you said, the procrastination and actual, going forward and thinking, you already there. When we first spoke to you, you could see that you already almost had these things settled in your heart. You just needed to hear them to,
reaffirm it.
Reaffirm that into it.
This is, if you'd like to become Muslim, we can take the Shahada today. It's called the Shahada, testimony of faith. We can do it in Arabic and English. Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fine. So I'll say it in Arabic, okay, and I'll say it slowly, okay, and then I'll translate. So I'll translate for you in English as well, okay. So you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul Allah. Allahu Akbar. I'll translate for you now, inshallah. I bear witness, if you repeat after me,
I bear witness
that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah.
except Allah.
And I bear witness
I bear witness
that the Prophet Muhammad
Muhammad
peace be upon him, is the messenger of Allah.
is the messenger of Allah.
Allahu Akbar. Sister, welcome to Islam. Welcome to Islam. You're officially a Muslim.
How do you feel right now?
I feel like I'm floating. I've wondered.
Allahu
I see on
Akbar.
your face. It's like
No, honestly, it's like a bit, mashallah, radiant, mashallah.
That's what it's
Allahu Barak, sister. If it's okay, we'll take your contact details. We have a new Muslim mentor program. A sister will get in touch with you, and they'll sort of talk you through the initial steps, etc. Perfect. So we'll get someone to get in touch with you. You can always message us. We're on Instagram all the time, so you can message us. We've got an admin team there as well. Any support you need, we'll be happy to help.
Thank you so much.
All the best. You take care. Congratulations.
Cheers.
Take care. Have a good day.